So we actually got some reporting about what is going to be happening in the upcoming Purge television show. And, as of what we've actually been told right now, I'm not necessarily sure how I feel about it as a fan myself, and I'm not necessarily sure how people are going to feel about this going forward as they watch the show. One of the things that Deadline basically reported at the NBC Universal Monday Upfront presentation yesterday was that Blumhouse's production, headed by Jason Blum, is going to be making, the Purge television show that is like kind of an offshoot of the very popular film franchise that they've been building over the last couple of years. And one of the things that they actually ended up saying is the fact that, quote, "It will reveal to fans what happens on the other 364 days of the year and how the law affects people." Like, I don't necessarily understand exactly where they're going with this. One of the cool things about the Purge films is actually seeing, the bad things that people actually end up doing for these particular night, or that, that particular 12-hour period, and then everything like that. Now, if the series actually decided to start on a Purge night, and then, kind of show that, basically even be maybe even the first 2 or 3 episodes of any particular series, and then basically lead up to like how everyone who survived that night was affected by it. Or, even better, basically showing somebody or a group of people in the other, like they said, 364 days out of the year, and basically lead up to a grand finale in the particular Purge night would be something pretty awesome. Because, one of the bad things about the franchise, and I feel like, even if you're a huge fan of them, one of the big things about those films that I feel like a lot of people either hate or sweep under the rug or something like that is the character development just doesn't really matter. I mean, they have had some really awesome moments between people in trying to show how characters interact and how they basically, deal with the Purge night, how they deal with it in the other 365 days a year, 64 days a year. And then you get to see them on the night where all the action happens and everything else like that. With the first film, they had basically the flowers and all this other stuff, preparing with the security home entrances, all the rich people who have this situation where they really feel like they deserve to go out and kill poor people and everything, and everyone basically wanting to get more money or buy weapons for themselves, buying on the streets and all this stuff. We've seen this throughout all the movies in this particular franchise. It's just, for me, it's weird that we're going to be focusing on a show that just basically deals with everything outside of that 12-hour period, when it was that 12-hour period that made everyone want to see these films in the first place. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think that there isn't any story here. I mean, obviously there has to be at least something that they feel is worth telling. And if it leads into maybe another movie, or like I said, a grand finale of the series or the season, each particular season, where you get to see how these people actually survive the Purge night, I think that would be pretty cool. But just seeing people outside of the Purge in general, and not necessarily, I guess, exploring anything that has to do with that 12-hour period, to me just doesn't necessarily seem like something incredibly worth watching. For me, one of the cooler things that they could probably be focusing on when it comes to something like a television show where they have a lot more time to tell stories and build characters and also kind of intertwine stories that could be working towards each other, is focusing on other things that could be happening during the Purge, which, for the most part, with all laws being basically legal for a 12-hour period, there's a lot more that could be happening than just people going around killing poor people, which I know that this whole franchise has been really politically oriented, and that's why a lot of people like it. That's why a lot of people don't like it or have some kind of unique connection with it. But there's a lot of other stuff that we could be focusing on as well. I mean, one of the cool things they could really do is basically do some kind of a heist movie where you have kind of what happens if the Purge meets Ocean's 11 type of thing like that, where, they have everyone dressing up in the signature masks and having this huge plan, and they're all building up towards that throughout the entire series. And then when Purge night actually hits at the very end of the show, you have basically what would happen if they go around and it didn't necessarily matter whether they killed the security guard or anyone like that. I feel like that would be totally worth watching for the most part, just because all the tropes that go along with making this type of heist kind of situation, but also knowing that it doesn't necessarily matter if things kind of go to shit, and they could actually, end up actually having to kill someone, or maybe they even plan on killing people or anything like that, and then you can also just build off of that, where usually the whole like you kill someone or something in those movies is a little bit more of attention grabbing. Now you just play off the fact that it doesn't matter. I feel like that would be something really cool. I mean, and that's just one particular idea. I know there's a whole lot of other things that we could definitely see. I mean, just going through, you know, legal gambling, like high stakes legal gambling where it's okay to kill people who cheat or something like that. I mean, there's just so much they can definitely do in this particular series, in this particular concept, that doesn't necessarily have to deal with how people live in the society, but more so focusing on the fun of what they could do during this particular night. So, I mean, I just want to get everyone's opinions on this. Like, what do y'all think about this? Do you want to see it take place during the Purge, or do you want to see what happens after, you know, the election year and everything like that, and everything? Like, honestly, you don't necessarily know exactly where, how, or what it's going to be at this point. It is kind of exciting that we're getting a Purge movie in particular, or, you know, Purge television show, and another couple movies. I think they do really well. They're actually a really interesting series. There's a lot of directions for them to take. So what would you like to see in a television show? Do you think this is the right path for it just going forward? And anything else that you want to talk about in the comment section below. I'm going to catch y'all on the next video.